All right, so this morning at 0700 we had a major briefing with all of our emergency resources, the leadership within Fire, CAL FIRE, California Office of Emergency Services, and all of our law enforcement Region 5 counterparts that were dispatched into different areas of the county. So what we're most concerned with today in speaking with fire is many of the levees that have been breached, causing this major flooding to the southeast of the county is being reinforced today. There's multiple different breaches throughout the county on these levees, trying to protect the farmland as well as many of the townships that are located within the county. Not to exclude what's happening in our mountain areas. In the mountain area of Pine Flat, we have people who are isolated with no way out, but we're getting them water, we're getting them food, and Roads is trying to repair those roadways. No one's in any medical need, and no one's in danger of losing their life. They're living and surviving, but the roadways have to be fixed. And so we're concerned with the snow, and some of the teams have been dispatched to the snow areas in the high country in regards to the roads and the roadways leading to people living in these mountains so that they have a way in and way out. And so that becomes a major concern. What they're watching here as well is the surface levels of the water, what's coming in from the mountains into both lakes, because obviously the spillway that bleeds over into the riverways leading down into the population becomes a concern. Not only is the safety of life a concern in protecting life in all of these cities, but the protection of property. What's most alarming recently is the amount of flooding that's taking place in our farmland. The farmland here just this side of Corcoran, and speaking with the Kings County Sheriff this morning, they had an emergency operations center meeting this morning in regards to the reinforcement of levees and waterways that hopefully doesn't bleed over into the city of Corcoran. I know that our fire counterparts have been just diligently and religiously working with weather as well as teams that are out reinforcing the infrastructure of the levees and teams that are watching waterways. Our teams have been out. Fire reported this morning that they've done anywhere between 6 and 10 rescues of people who have been caught in waterways, either in cars or mostly in cars where they think they can pass through and move. But that water moves so quickly and swiftly that the fire emergency crews with their safety teams, as well as Sheriff's Department and law enforcement safety teams, have been able to do rescues. Since we have placed Region 5 law enforcement out in these areas, Fire reported this morning that we went from 6 to 10 rescues down to 0 rescues because we're keeping people out of those flood zones. That becomes important to reiterate to the public that if there's a road closed sign, don't circumvent and go around that road sign. You may not see the flooding, but it doesn't mean the ground underneath is stable. I learned that from our fire counterparts today, that the ground underneath may be unstable, causing a condition of an emergency for someone who's driving. So those roads are closed for a couple different reasons. This morning as well, we get a weather report as to the rain that's coming down. What we learned today, too, though, is that when the sun comes out, that is a precursor to potential lightning storms and more rain. As you can feel, it's a lot colder coming in this morning that you can see, which hopefully produces some snow, which is not the same as warm water coming down off the mountains. They anticipate in this weather storm that in the valley, anywhere between 1 and 2 inches, and into the mountains, anywhere between 3 and 4 inches. Well, that means water's got to go somewhere. So the fire teams are out reinforcing the levees as they can. I know that I've seen CAL FIRE helicopters dropping many loads of rock, and we have our California Department of Corrections inmate crews, which is overseen by our fire teams, that are reinforcing and dropping sandbags where they can.
I noticed that you're centering on what is that, BR2? Is that a major concern as far as you're concerned right now?
Well, this is a fire term, so it's not a law enforcement term, but I'll explain it as best I can. But these are, in the fire terms, these are broken down into what's called branches. And so these branches are broken up from the top of the North County into the South County. And so that is organized based on the need, their teams with fire and with rescue and the ability to reinforce levees as to the waterways, broken down into different branches. Of course, it looks as if Branch 2 has more of a concern because the Tulare River is a major water flow source into the areas here that you see that are flooded.
Now, is the Tulare River and Lake Cahuilla, is that up there? Are they running into the old Tulare dry lake bed at this point?
Well, this entire area is the old Tulare Lake,
Yeah.
right? So this entire area used to be underwater. Well, as you can see, as it begins to fill, it's kind of like the bottom of a bowl filling with water. The concern is that we want that water to go in the direction that's designed with the canals and the waterways, but the levees are causing havoc for the fire teams that are working relentlessly, trying to repair and keep that water flow in a direction that doesn't impact our farmland as well as our communities.
And as far as the levees themselves, have they they've been there for quite a while. Mm-hmm. So over the years, erosion,
correct,
maybe rodents in there and things like that tend to weaken them?
They do weaken them. So when you have squirrels that are in there and they're burrowing holes and the ground itself is dry, when you fill that with water, it becomes weakened, and that's where they're finding that these levees are breaking.
Okay. Any major concern as far as the levees are this morning?
Well, that's going to be a fire question.
Okay.
That'll be a fire question.
All right. And your officers, deputies, your sheriff's deputies, and all the others that have been assigned to this incident, at this point they're out and about at their...
They were deployed this morning. They had an early morning briefing along with fire as well as law enforcement, and they were deployed out there this morning.
Okay. So there's more rain expected.
There is. So the weather report that we got today, we knew that early this morning, about 1 o'clock, the rain would start. We anticipated it would slow down about 11 o'clock, begin to maybe pick up again at 3, and then well into the next 24 hours for a potential of 1 inch to as many as 1 to 2 inches in the valley and as much as 3 to 4 inches in the mountains. So that's a lot of water that's still coming down. So the city of Porterville, they have an emergency operations center that's activated. The city of Isaiah has an emergency operations center that's been activated. And they're working with hydrologists who are monitoring and are experts at the flow of water. We get that briefing every day as well. That's how I know the 1 inch to 2 inches and 3 to 4 inches. And so what we're doing on the law enforcement side is helping support our fire services as well as, block off roadways and enforce those road blockage areas. Now, this is not to exclude, and think about this, we have this major operations going where we called in lots of law enforcement to help. We still have crime that's being committed. So law enforcement, we still have to respond to emergency calls for service. Fire in these cities still have to respond to emergency calls for service. Our daily operation doesn't stop just because we have this taking place. So as you can imagine, we have a lot of people here, resources getting dwindled very quickly because of the magnitude of our county and of the storm, as well as we have our daily emergency services. People still get in accidents, people still have burglaries that take place, armed robberies still take place, so we're still doing those operations. But right now, that's why I called in Region 5, it's called LEMA, Law Enforcement Assistance. So we have those people from Fresno County, Fresno Police Department. I spoke to officers from them today, Clovis Police Department, Arvin, Bakersfield Police Department. They've all come in to help secure and keep these roadways from people going into them, causing danger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned the fact that you've had some rescues, and
yeah.
The fact of the matter is, you see water on the road, you better think about...
Don't risk it.
But the bigger thing is that you're taking resources away from something else.
It is. That's the point. If we have road block, we're secure that it's blocked. We don't want to worry about someone getting in there and then requiring a rescue, because what happens with that is we pull away from different places that we have deployed people to work, hand out water in our communities, restore water, roadways, repair roadways, reestablish levees. Now we're breaking away for a rescue. Now, we do have teams set up for that very thing. Our search and rescue team is on standby. Our whitewater rescue team is on standby. but it would be much easier flowing if we could just get the community to cooperate, which they've been great. They really have been great. But we have people who are used to driving in the area, and they go, I've driven that road 1,000,000 times, I can make it. They get out in the middle of it, and they realize they can't make it because there's so much water. Yeah. And it's deceiving. So when you're driving around in the city, the sun is out, your daily operation is normal, but in the county, we're watching the water. In the county, and the roads you're used to driving can be potentially dangerous, and that's why those road signs are up.
Are you real concerned about the snow melt as far as...
I'm not concerned with the snow melt now, but this operation is not over this week. This operation is not over next week. We're going to have to watch the amount of snow that's melting coming into springtime and summer, because that is going to continue to flow down these rivers. We're going to have to continue to watch and maintain those levees, working with our farmers and ranchers. Let me give compliments to our farmers and ranchers. They're using their own personal equipment, excavators, backhoes, bulldozers, to help establish and protect their farmland, as well as protecting any cities that are downstream by reinforcing those. I think some of it becomes that with the regulations in the state, and they're unable to get into and repair these canals and waterways because California legislation doesn't allow it. If they were allowed to maintain and repair those, we wouldn't probably have the issues that we're having now. But that's a different story for a different time. But we are watching the snowpack. I spoke with Fresno County deputies this morning. They have issues up in their mountains as well with flooding and roadways. And so know that there's a lot of people working. We're focusing. They're very good at what they do. We're going to be okay at the end of the day. I'm very thankful that we have not lost life. We're so thankful for that. But it's a mess. We have a lot of water everywhere causing problems, and we're doing what we can to help it. And it's hard to see if it's in your front yard. It doesn't feel like there's people there. But let me guarantee people, there are people all over our county working hard. Identifying the major hot spots, kind of a triage of handling the major areas first, and fixing those, and then moving into areas that we can continue to work on.
Now, would you have to know how many agencies from around the state have come in to help you as far as personnel?
That's a great question. We have that listing. Who they are and how many, I don't have that answer. I can tell you in the Central Valley, we've gotten them as far away as Arvin, Bakersfield, Fresno, Merced, Madera. We haven't gotten any from Kings County because Kings County's busy. Kings County just as busy because this water's going into their areas. But who could send, they sent. I'm very thankful to all the police chiefs and sheriffs who have assisted us here in Tulare County. And that's what we do. There's many people I've seen. Orange County Fire Department, Los Angeles County Fire Department are both here. Fire agencies from all over. I'm happy to get you all those so that you'll have them. But there's many, many, many. Yeah, we have serving breakfast this morning. There's over 700 people. We have over 700 people out working right now.